as was said the other day, the countless stories that have been told over these many years have formed links in a chain that has no beginning and no end. And having completed another link with the metaphor of the making of bread and the fire that makes the dough of our wisdom, in forging a new link, there are three old and very simple stories. The first is that story about the very devoted man who worshipped and adored God. Every day he prayed. Every day he undertook the rituals that would show his devotion to the deity. But then one day, the great longing in his heart rose up and he said, God, I want to make a feast for you. I want to do something for you. I'm going to make a feast on the next Sabbath day when the sun is setting. Oh God, please come. And so, with his last hard-earned money, the man set up the feast for God. He waited and watched as the sun was beginning its descent, waiting for the moment when God would arrive. But just as the sun was going down over the horizon, a huge black dog came bounding out, jumped on the feast table and began to devour the food. The man immediately went and got a heavy stick and came out and beat the dog mercilessly. Get away, this is God's feast. But then the feast remained uneaten, and the man began to wail, oh God, I'm so unworthy you did not come to the feast that I prepared for you. I must be a sinner. But then there was great thunder and lightning in the sky, and the clouds parted, and there was God, a bandage around his head, his arm in a sling, and plaster on his leg. And the man said, God, what happened to you? And God said, well, you invited me to a feast and I wanted to enjoy it, so I came as a big black dog, but you beat me and sent me away. And then there's a second story about the shepherd. And every day when he was up on the hill tending his flock, he would look up into the sky and thank God for the blessings, the sun and the rain that came. And it so happened that at that moment a priest was walking by on a little promenade up the hill, and he happened to hear the shepherd's prayer. So he listened as the shepherd said, oh God, if only you would show your face to me, I would make you store sandals to put on your feet. I would shear my best sheep and weave it into a garment for you. Well, the priest was very angry, And he approached the shepherd and he said, "How dare you? Do you think that God is a human, that you can make sandals for his feet and a garment for him to wear? You stupid man." And the shepherd began to sob and weep, tears flowing down his cheeks copiously. And the priest went off, feeling very satisfied with himself. But the next night, as the priest lay down to sleep, God visited him and said, "How dare you speak to this devotee of mine in such a way as this? Go to him and ask for his apologies." So the next day the priest made his way back up the hill to where he had found the shepherd. But instead of meeting a man standing looking up at the heavens, praying, offering and beseeching, he found the shepherd sitting cross-legged under a great tree, obviously in a state of serene transcendence. And the last story is that story about the bishop who was taking a journey, going round to those islands where his missionaries had been. When they came to a certain island, and the ship was moored offshore, and the bishop looked out to see a group of natives on the beach, and he knew that these were those who had been visited by his missionaries before. So he took a little rowboat and he rowed to them. They greeted him warmly, recognizing him as one of the great souls. And he said to the group of natives, "Tell me, my son, how have you been praying?" And they all went into their rendition of the Lord's Prayer, which was completely garbled and translated into a native tongue. And he said, "Tut, this won't do at all." So he spent several hours, painstakingly, word for word, teaching them the Lord's Prayer, feeling very gratified with himself. He got back in his rowboat and went back to his ship to continue his travels. But of course he had this territory that he had to visit from time to time, so he came back to that island on occasion. And the ship was moored offshore as before, and he stood on the deck looking out at the island, thinking to himself, "I wonder how these natives are faring." And just as he was about to get in his little dinghy to row across the water, walking on the water, was a group of natives. And when they approached him and greeted him, they said, "Oh, great bishop, we're so glad you are here, because we try to remember the prayer, but we keep forgetting. Please, would you teach us again?" But the bishop, totally abashed and humbled, said to the group of natives, "My sons, keep saying what it is that you are saying, in what it is that you are doing. You do not need. What awareness arises out of the forging, the merging of these three simple stories for us in the place we now find ourselves.
Contacting the spirit is just opening the heart, and that's nothing to do with noise.
Yes. Nothing to do with prayer, nothing to do with ritual. Nothing to do with beseeching.
And also not to reject anything you see. Looking back to the first story, just show me that